Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lender who helps it grow. The Sextons are in the house. Delaney, Lance, welcome.
It's great to be here, Bob. Always happy to be here on Friday.
And I was talking to Delaney, and just so you know, my temperature right now is 70 degrees. Go ahead, Delaney. What are you at?
The high is 104. We're sitting at a high 90 right now.
And of course, Arkansas has no humidity, right?
None at all.
None at all.
Delaney's oldest sister was in Arizona last week, and she told me, she said it was over 100 degrees there, but it didn't feel bad.
Yeah, well, it's humidity's terrible. Hey, let's get into it. We have some PPP questions. Number one, do you believe your unforgiven PPP loans are being serviced correctly? Yes.
Boy, Bob.
No.
This is a challenging question, Bob, because we all are looking for additional guidance from SBA on the process. There are a lot of little issues in PPP servicing that SBA needs to help us out with.
Which is my second question. In general, is SBA being responsive to your questions?
I refuse to answer that, Bob, because
on the grounds
on grounds that it may incriminate me. I think SBA is doing the best job they can do.
50-50. You agree with that, Lance?
I think that's pretty accurate. I think SBA is trying to do the best they can. I think that we all thought we would be done with PPP servicing and liquidation. And quite honestly, Bob, probably the busiest period, Bob and Delaney, the busiest period of PPP servicing is getting ready to happen for those who did 2021 PPP loans, round 2 loans.
And number 3, do you have a dedicated PPP manager?
I think a lot of lenders who mostly did first round may or may not, but if you were very active in the second round, I hope you do have a dedicated PPP manager. It's like I said, we are currently building up and preparing for what's going to be a very busy season of PPP guarantee purchases.
Lance, without giving away too many trade secrets, what is your strategy for the balance of 2022?
Well, Bob, we're hopefully going to work through as much of the guarantee purchase process. Our PPP borrowers have been inundated with emails, texts, communications encouraging them to apply for forgiveness. And there is a very stubborn segment of PPP borrowers who have yet to apply for forgiveness. In addition to, Bob, all the indictments, all the fraudulent PPP loans that are creating guaranteed purchases. I had not had many PPP borrowers pass away, and suddenly I've gotten an influx of PPP borrowers who passed away. But there are a ton of things. We are working on developing an efficient process to work through the guaranteed purchase process on the 2021s. Because if you did PPP loans in February of 2021, they should have already gotten their first statement for payment if they have not submitted for forgiveness. And they should get their second statement here. Well, should get a second statement anytime now, sometime during the month of July. And those will be ready for guarantee purchase during the month of August and so forth. Your March loans should be getting a statement this month, should get a second statement in August, and will be ready for guarantee purchase in September, and so on through the end of the second round of PPP. So there's still a lot of work. Right now, we are projecting that we will still be dealing on a fairly significant level with PPP servicing and liquidation through the first quarter of 2023. And there will be some leftovers that extend, guys, for years, potentially.
The Lance Sexton Full Employment Act. That's what it should have been called.
Lance and quite a few other people.
Lance, the statements, who generates those statements?
The statements, it depends on your institution, but, for instance, our accounting department is generating the statements, but, the participant lenders, I think when we first started this, Bob, we all thought maybe we won't have to do payments.
Right. That's the question, yeah. But
The
lenders are,
answer
I guess,
yes.
lenders are required to do statements. Is that what you're saying?
Well, and on the 2021 loans, they're all 5-year term loans. Your early February loans are through their covered period and deferment period as of last month. And they'll continue to trickle, the March, April, May, June. So statements should be going out now, should have already gone out, and should continue to go out through the month of October.
Delaney, Mr. Miles applied for a $1.9 million PPP loan. What happened?
So these are some of the stories we love here. I guess we don't love. I should not use that word probably. Mr. Miles applied for a $1.9 million PPP loan for an LLC, providing all of the classic documentation that was fraudulent, including tax returns, which he actually had not filed any taxable income during the relevant period. And with the money, he ended up purchasing a $250,000 2020 Cadillac Escalade, or excuse me, that was a Bentley Continental, and then a $100,000 Escalade, which he ended up crashing the Escalade, and they had to collect insurance money rather than a car.
Hey, Bob, the key question here is I am doing things the right way, and I drive a Toyota Tacoma. This guy commits fraud, and he's driving a Bentley and an Escalade.
Yeah, but he's going to get free room and board, I suspect.
Yes,
Even worse, Bob. He's going to get a free room and free food. So,
And free hospitalization?
yes.
Free insurance?
72 months worth.
How many months?
72.
72 months? 6 years?
Yes.
Wow.
So one of the challenges, guys, is we see tax returns, fraudulent tax returns mentioned over and over again. And tax returns seem to be an area where a lot of PPP borrowers who committed fraud, that's where they produce fraudulent documents. And, it's interesting because it makes me think about a big problem in PPP servicing, Bob. The 2021 loans, the IFR only required a Schedule C. And now SBA is reviewing those loans, and they're not just asking for that Schedule C on the reviews. They're asking for the full tax return. And they're asking for multiple years. It was not required to get the loan. Why is it required for forgiveness? Is a big question. And the reason it's required, they're trying to vet out fraud is what they're trying to do.
And what do we do when we have a non-responsive borrower?
Bob, you're going to find that
Well, I guess they're not.
a large percentage of those borrowers probably are not going to produce the tax returns you asked for. In addition to that, the ones who do have the returns are saying, hey guys, when I applied for this loan, all I had to have was a Schedule C from 2020. Why are you asking for a 19 full tax return and a 20 full tax return when I didn't have that to apply? And I think the challenge you run into is you didn't have to be in business until February of 2020, Bob, and they're asking for 19 tax returns, and many of these PPP borrowers may not have a 19 tax return. So it's
very good. Well, with our PPP theme, we also, Delaney, Mr. Perkins, he applied for a $465,000 loan, and what did he do with the money?
Well, he ended up buying a very nice beachfront vacation home in Dauphin Island. He ended up applying for forgiveness, claiming he used it for payroll, rent, utilities, all of those works, when in reality, 90% of the loan, more than 90% of the loan went to this vacation home.
Are you telling me the full price was $420, or was that the down payment?
No, that's the price, Bob.
That's the price.
Dauphin Island, I wish we had, if we have some Alabama, or I think Dauphin Island is in Alabama, down on the coast.
But he no longer owns that, I assume.
Well, this is all, I need to be clear, alleged.
Oh,
so
allegedly.
He's currently just being charged.
All right.
We'll have to see how this turns out.
So
Lance, this crosses your desk. Will you forgive him for the beachfront property? You know, they have to employ contractors. I don't know.
Well, you know, this is another big question that comes up in PPP forgiveness. You know, I don't have all the details, but this gentleman may have applied for forgiveness, may have had legitimate payroll expenses. When we see something like this, it's probably coming from SBA or one of the agencies saying this is a fraudulent loan. If it's a fraudulent loan, I'm getting the guaranteed purchase folder together and going to submit it for guaranteed purchase. But there's a fun caveat here. So let's say this gentleman applied for forgiveness, and suddenly you got a fraud notice, and you're like, hey, I'll do a guaranteed purchase. Well, guess what happens when you put this in the system for guaranteed purchase? If he has submitted a forgiveness application, even if it's fraudulent, it won't let you process the guaranteed purchase. So,
Inspector General issued a report regarding the shuttered venue operation. Is it fair to say, Delaney, that they were highly critical of SBA, or just critical? How would you characterize their review?
That's a good question. Can I say in between, not too far one way or the other?
Say whatever you want, yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to make too bold of a statement.
Okay. What happened?
well,
Go ahead, Delaney. What happened? Lance.
Okay, so one of the first things they found is that instead of dispersing the awards in multiple payments, they decided to disperse it in a single payment, which is a lot more prone to fraud. It's more risky, which was part of what they originally wanted them to do. In addition, they also did not properly calculate all of the awards. In some cases, they were given much more than requested. In some cases, they were given less. There's even one case, they evaluated 10 different awards. This person was awarded $1.9 million more than they needed, but SBA has not tried to reclaim that money. In addition, 15% of the total program grant awards were dispersed without ensuring that the budgets matched the grant awards.
Which in our terminology, Lance, means use of proceeds must equal the credit memo, must equal the loan authorizations.
yeah, I'm not real sure what SBA does with this. Frequently, you'll get a PPP loan review where SBA comes back and says the lender improperly calculated the original loan amount. In this case, SBA improperly calculated the original loan amount. You know, two things I see here, guys. First of all, it's just like PPP. There was a lot of pressure on SBA to get the money out. A ton of pressure, and I don't know that the Inspector General, a multiple disbursement loan is certainly the best way to do it, but it's not an efficient, it's not a quick way to get the money out. So while I don't disagree with these findings, I do think that there was a lot of pressure on SBA to get the money out quickly. Bob, Delaney, we all remember the shuttered venue grant. You know, they're like, why are you not, get it out, get it out,
Yeah,
get it out.
and on and on and on, right.
So now they're being criticized for doing what they asked them to do when it was going out slowly. So it was a PPP, shuttered venue, idle. There was a lot of pressure from people to get the money out. So it's normal that mistakes would be made.
Oh, very good. It'll be interesting to see if this ties in with what Congress is doing. We can ask John on Monday that the pressures on, do we want agency to do disaster loans? Do we want to privatize it more? These type of things certainly do not reflect well on the agency when they can't make these simple calculations. So we'll see. That's how that ties in. Lance, you did a webinar on last Wednesday. Very quickly, talk about, we were talking about refinance, and we had this one denial where the lender made the loan, but it was, instead of doing it, it was really they did it as a debt refinance, but it was really a business acquisition loan.
Yeah, it's, debt, business refinancing with the SBA 7A product is a great tool for you to help small businesses, but you have to know how to do it properly. And, this particular loan wasn't a refinance. It was actually a business acquisition, and understanding how to do a refinance properly and not falling into the trap of doing a refinance when it's not really a refinance, it's business acquisition, is problematic when you're trying to get the guaranteed purchase.
Lance, what is the magic number? 2 years, that after 2 years, then we can look at it as a debt refinance, but up to 2 years, it's a business acquisition. Is that a fair statement, or do you want to go longer?
Typically it needs to be at least 2 years.
Okay. And Lance said at least. So some of these, it's a little gray, but be careful. The takeaway of his webinar was be careful of that. I thought that was the next.
Well, and the other thing, Bob, you make a great point. The SOP is full of minimums and maximums, but it's not full of have-tos, if that makes sense. Yeah. You and I always say, well, this is what SBA says the minimum is, but a prudent lender might ask for more.
Right.
And that's the same case here. 2 years is kind of the minimum, but you might want to let it go a little longer than 2.
This is webinar. Lance is going to be doing this in a couple of weeks. So we set it up for the PPP. Joseph, go to the next slide. And this is, we are starting a podcast, which will be on Fraud Friday. And it's going to be separate from our live stream. We will send that out to all of you. We are getting in, we're going to do more and more YouTubes of this. And of course, we'll send that to you as a separate, just so you know, it's a separate product to view at your leisure. And we're going to delve more and more into these fraud issues. We'll send it to you, and hope you enjoy that. Lance, a little bit different, but Lance is going to, we're going to make Lance what do they call it? An influencer. Actually,
I don't know.
The lady. I think the lady's more of an influencer than the old man. Yeah, but go ahead.
Absolutely.
Well, very good. Hey, well, welcome all back. Short week, and we'll look forward to talk to you Monday. Thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you for joining us today for today's episode. If you like today's content, hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our channel and click that bell icon to get notified about our latest videos. Thank you again for joining us today and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time. Catch you next time.